So why is business process management so important? ERP implementations result in a lot of different changes to the business and the organization. It's a big business transformation. And what business process management does is it helps you identify the process and organizational changes. So it identifies what the old way was, the current state, versus what the new way, future state, is going to be. And even if you're going to take out-of-the-box functionality from a system as part of your improved process, people's jobs and roles are going to change. The way that they do things today is not going to be how they're going to do things in the future. So it's really important to understand and identify what these changes are going to be so that you can communicate that and train to that during your entire ERP lifecycle project. It also highlights organizational change management issues. Like we said, the change impacts, so how someone's role is going to change from current state to future state. But it also helps you identify as part of the process, and including people as part of the process, the pockets of resistance you might experience within the organization. What groups, what people might be resistant to changing the process and improving the process. And that ultimately will carry over into potential resistance in putting in a new system. So it allows you to identify that and address that up front instead of finding out about it later in the process. And it also identifies training requirements. So as you're moving from current state to future state and people's roles are going to change, their training requirements are going to be different for different people based on their skill levels. So by identifying the different changes, you're able to identify what the required training would be and what the right training strategy might be for your ERP implementation. Business process management also improves the process based on the needs of the company versus the needs of the software. So there's always going to be opportunity for you to take out-of-the-box standard best practices from an ERP system. Those things that you do today, like how you pay your bills or how you order supplies, may not be unique to the company, and so you can leverage that out-of-the-box functionality. But for those processes that make you unique or that differentiate you from your competition, you want to make sure that you preserve them and understand what the needs are, why you're doing it a specific way, and what those future requirements need to be for that new system based on that improved process, so that you can, again, evaluate the systems that you have on your long list or short list of vendors against those future state requirements, and understand how that system is going to handle those requirements. Are they going to be able to handle it with out-of-the-box functionality, or is it going to require some configuration or customization, which ultimately results in a higher cost? It also identifies key performance indicators that can help you measure performance improvement and project cost savings. 60% of the companies, based on our research, realize less than 50% of their benefits. This is because they don't do the due diligence up front to help quantify and document what the expected benefits and cost savings are going to be. So by doing business process improvement, you're identifying up front what you expect to get out of improving that process. What kind of benefit do you expect to achieve from improving a particular process? And what does the cost savings or estimate cost savings look like by improving that process? So you're documenting that up front, able to quantify that and record against the baseline of that after you've put your new software in place. Business process management is mandatory for all ERP implementations. It's not an option if you want to be successful. The reason is that it reduces your overall risk to the project. So if you don't find out about your gotchas by doing the due diligence up front, documenting those improvements, then you're not going to know what kinds of customizations and configuration costs are going to be related to your new system until after the fact, until you're in the project and you're too far along to recover. So you don't want to risk that from an impact standpoint. It also increases the return on investment and identifies other cost-saving opportunities. So outside of your normal cost savings that you expect to realize as part of automating a new system, those labor benefits you expect to achieve by reducing people's time and how much effort they have to do today, you're going to also be able to identify other cost-saving opportunities, non-labor type saving opportunities that are unrelated to a new system, that you can also include as part of your overall ERP implementation cost benefit. It also ensures that key differentiating business processes and logic are not lost during the implementation. So again, making sure that you understand what your competitive advantage is, what makes you competitive and differentiates you against your competition, and how you can protect that, documenting those requirements, and then understanding how the system is going to be able to handle those requirements. This will eliminate that risk of not only that cost factor that I've talked about and going over budget, but also the risk of not documenting and accounting for that little nuance that might be part of your process that you didn't think was important, and then you miss putting it into the new system, and then you get through testing and go live, and then you realize, oh man, that one thing that made us competitive we lost because we took out of the box functionality or we didn't account for it or put it into the system. So it allows you to reduce that risk as well of missing those key items that make you, again, unique and competitive in the marketplace. Business process management supports documentation and standardization of the business processes. So by going through this process of identifying what your future state is, you're able to then document the new policies and procedures around the new process improvement. You're able to document any new process training that is going to be required. Remember that as part of the ERP implementation, the vendors will do their canned vendor training based on the software, but they will not address your process training. So if you're making any improvements that come along with putting a new system in place, you want to make sure that you document and train on that as well. It also documents the traceability of your process changes, so you have a historical record of what changed and when you changed it and what the impact was of that change from an improvement standpoint, from a key performance indicator standpoint. And once you start on the path of improving a process, you start to set up a measurement system that allows you to go back and continuously improve that process and look for opportunities to make it even better than it was today.